I am not 100% sure what is going on in the Wargaming's office at the moment, and at this point I might be too afraid to ask because they are quite open with their plans for the future. In my previous episode I already covered one of the Q&A sessions between World of Tanks NA, community manager, CCs in the World of Tanks NA, and Andrei Piletsky together with Maxim Chuvalov Q&A session. So if you haven't seen that episode, go check it out as well. Wheeled vehicles, they talked about wheeled vehicles, rebalancing, game balancing, fire mechanics, a new collector's tank, including possibly new nations as well, Argentinian tanks or Hungarian tanks, just for example. They talked about international tree over there as well, so go check it out. In my opinion, or for me at least, it was a really interesting episode to make. Now on the top of that, they have already released some other Q&A streams, sessions, developer diaries, stuff like that. But what I am going to cover in this episode is once again one really interesting Q&A streams, Q&A sessions between one of the Russian YouTubers, Vzpiska, I think this is how I have to pronounce this name. Link is in the description for the full stream as well. This time the stream was 3 hours and 13 minutes long, and Vzpiska's guest was actually head of the game design department, Egor Rodinov. And once again, they are discussing many interesting topics together with one very interesting proposal for the artillery rework. Anyway, we have a lot to cover, so let's dive right into the action. Once again, keep in mind, all this information comes from the blog post, whatinfo.com, the Armor Patrol actually as well, who did some extra translation, but it is translated from the Russian, so if something doesn't add up or if something sounds wrong, this is the reason, so now you know it. Okay, so a couple words about Egor Rodinov, the head of the game design, who has actually been in this position not for a too long time, but has been in Wargaming for over 5 years. But he has been part of many things happening in this game for years now, for example Global Map 2.0. Lately he's responsible for stuff like Steel Hunter, which is coming out, and he's so excited about Steel Hunter he actually cannot wait to release it basically. Both Battle of Bloggers, aka Team Clash event on the Russian server, there has been 2, and there are going to be more, and also Battle Pass. But generally speaking, lately I have been partly involved in everything that we have in the game. Of course, the head of the game design should be part of everything, and at the moment top 3 things they are doing actually at the moment are Equipment 2.0, the most important, interesting and complex new feature, Equipment 2.0, together with Crew 2.0 and 7 vs 7 mode for the Battle of Bloggers 2020. So they are already working on that for the Russian server, and he said, I really want to make it cool activity. And of course, many different things on the top of that, like customization, balancing of the equipment, vehicle balancing and all that, new maps, like yeah, a lot of things are happening in this game. All the things should have their own like special departments, like map design team, vehicle balance team. So if they release a new map, it doesn't mean that they're not working on vehicle balance. I hope this is the case, at least. I really do hope so, that there are different people working on vehicles and different people working on maps. Wargaming should be that big of a company to have special departments for every single thing. And now moving on, they also cover Spring Balance 3.0. They said, we realized that the players were not ready for such a large scale change in the game. We will introduce it gradually, bit by bit, more accurately and in a different way as some of its points. So yeah, they already started doing that with the tech tree increasement, with the low tier HP increasement together with ammunition increasement, because in the new balance sandbox server there were like all the things together. HP increasement for the high tiers, low tiers, ammunition changes and so on. So yeah, they see that players were not ready and they are going to introduce them step by step, one by one. They also mentioned blueprints. Yes, there are certain problems with them at the moment. Changes are planned in two places. Number one, in terms of converting existing blueprints, including fragments, because there are those players who have fully researched the nation that do not have too many tanks. Italian, Czechoslovakian, yeah, this is really good. We need conversion system. You need, like, I don't know when, if ever, they're going to release more Czech vehicles. We know there have been talks about Italian heavy tanks, but yeah, those blueprints are simply sitting over there. We need to convert them. And they also say, and the player has national fragments that has just physically cannot apply. This is the main thing we want to fix. This is really good. We plan to slightly change the logic of issuing blueprints so that the player has more control over what he gets. This is also really, really good thing. Now, what I did to battle this actually, back when we got the blueprints from Rewards for Merit for the specific vehicles. What I did, I actually used free experience to research every single tank in this game up to tier 4. I actually did it. I researched every single tank up to tier 4, so from now on, if I did receive a blueprint, it was for tier 5 to tier 10 vehicles only. And it paid up so fast already. I started receiving tier 5 plus blueprints only, and I got more blueprint, like hidden experience out from it than I spent on researching every single vehicle up to tier 4. This is what I did to basically combat it, because it was so RNG. Sometimes I got tier 2 blueprint, which saved me 69 experience. Completely wasted blueprint. You can get more free experience playing a single battle without any boosters, basically. So blueprints are going to be worked on, nice, but it is not like a game-breaking thing. Okay, next up, let's talk about Equipment 2.0. What they said, the instructions that are currently applied to the equipment will remain relevant when entering Equipment 2.0, but the instruction for the crew will be completely revised. And please, this time add percentages to every single crew skill, to every single equipment unit, how much one thing does, how much it doesn't do. Like we have ramming, we have aiming assistance, everything in the crew skills, everything in the equipment. We just need to see the full percentages as well, or the full values. Please do that this time. They also say, we will not remove the current equipment from the game to system. Equipment 2.0 will only complement and enhance the current one. Trophy equipment is a certain step towards players who are ready to play a lot but are not ready to play competitive and intense gameplay. Global maps, for example, Clan Wars, stuff like that. Trophies will appear in a strictly limited number. Equipment changes also involve changes in the interface, where the player can read a little more information about what exactly he is installing on the tank. Beautiful, this is what we want to see. Difficulty with equipment will increase gradually for the player. The variability of how many different items of equipment can be installed on low tier tanks and high tier tanks will differ. Relatively speaking, at tier 1 to tier 4, firstly, there will be fewer slots, and second, the variety of equipment can be installed on the tank will be significantly, what can be installed on the tank will be significantly less than on a tank of tier 7 or tier 10. And as far as I remember from one of their articles, official articles, they mentioned that the vehicle classes are also going to receive different equipment units, different equipment slots. Heavy tanks are going to get like heavy tank specific slots and equipment what only heavy tanks can use. Same goes to the medium tanks, light tanks, so on. Like tank destroyer, for example, Camonet is going to be like, let's say like Camonet is going to be tank destroyer specific equipment unit. So yeah, they're thinking about doing something like that as well. And besides new equipment, he also mentioned something about Crew 2.0. For example, yes, the light bulb, aka 6 cents, will be built into the Crew 2.0 by default. So every single vehicle, every single new crew, commander, master is going to receive 6 cents as a little default feature. It will default to everyone, but it can be improved with perks, so activate it faster, maybe something like that. This is one of the key points for the new crew. This is what they said. Next up, couple more words about some of the more unbalanced vehicles in this game, like T95 FE4201 Chieftain. They said it is so unbalanced because initially it was awarded to players who fulfilled absolutely monstrous conditions in Clan Wars to get this tank. It is a lot easier now, and yes, a lot easier. Players were simply able to get that with bonds as well. I don't remember exactly what you had to do, like you had to play some battles, but if you didn't fill the threshold, you had to beat on the auction, and many players were able to get it through the auctions, so it is easier now. Yes, this tank is very strong, but in random, the presence of a chieftain due to the total number of its owners is not so strongly felt. In ranked battles, however, we are now thinking about what to do with it. Perhaps we will somehow solve this at the level of matchmaker. They are thinking about making the same matchmaker as on EBR. If enemy team has chieftain, your team is going to have chieftain as well, and maybe they're going to add kind of a cap to it, how many chieftains can be in one team, in one battle. We'll see what they do. I personally see the dominance of this tank in ranked battles. I consider this situation unhealthy, but I do not want to offend players who earned a tank by spending a lot of effort on the Clan Wars 2. So definitely they have to find some kind of a middle ground which pleases both sides. Not too many chieftains, and if one team has chieftain, enemy team also must have chieftain or 279E or any other reward vehicle. I don't know. How would you solve this situation? Let me know in the comments. Next topic, about the need for compact / small maps at tier 10. I think they're talking about maps like mines, ends, stuff like that, where you can literally sit in the middle of the map and you can see the entire map, you can shoot the entire map. Mines is the biggest problem, right? I am not sure at all that this is a general opinion that absolutely all players share. And if we start roaming maps from the roster, the problem with repeating maps for the player will again be irrelevant. In my opinion, the problem here for us is to determine whether a large number of players are really not satisfied with the gameplay on some maps or not. We have a feature for eliminating maps and tier balance in terms of winning percentages. And the amazing thing is that they are completely uncorrelated and unrelated to each other. Okay, so that doesn't give me too much hope at least that they are going to do something to mines. I don't know, maybe it is unpopular opinion, it is just my opinion, I'm going to say that outright. Well, actually, it is not only my opinion, I know plenty of players who share the same opinion, but in my opinion, mines should not be in tier 8 plus matchmaking. Tier 8 plus tanks should not play on mines. This is just my opinion. Just one of the maps. I don't know, maybe unpopular opinion, but it is mine, so let me know yours. Actually, let's stay on the same topic. This is a nice question. Increase number of maps that players can ban. Answer is quite resolute. No. No, just no. Okay, moving on. Next question. Edits on the map called Mountain Boss. Right now in the works, actually. Mountain Boss is actually in the work. Imbalance of the lower respawn on arrival time at the center. Yes, one side can easily get into the center faster, so they're trying to do something with that. Hopefully something to balance the lower side balcony as well. One has crazy sniping balcony, the entire, like, what can cover half of the map, and the bridge and all that, and the other side doesn't have that kind of cover and balcony. So hopefully something is going to be done. Now, next up, let's talk about one really interesting topic. Let's talk about Fisherman's Bay, let's talk about bushes, what the game can see, what players can see, and how the spotting works, because it is actually really interesting. On Fisherman's Bay, you know those middle bushes, right? I really had the feeling that one side has a lot better bushes than the other side, but looking at some of the pictures, what I was able to see from the stream, I can easily see that they are exactly equally yellow on both sides, you know, like just where the camera is, I'm talking about those bushes. So this is how the game sees the bushes, and this is how it actually looks like for us. But this is how the game sees it. So we can see some green. Green is the tree. We can see yellow bushes. I guess the color changes with the camo value, something like that, maybe. I don't know exactly how it works, but this picture kind of confirms that I am wrong, but I still would like to test it out, because I'm still not convinced. I don't know why. Just conspiracy theory over here. Anyway, them talking about some of the spotting and bush mechanic. So, the bush as an object that the player sees in front of him when playing the game, and the bush from the point of view of the server, which calculates whether the machine sees one another or not, are very different things. The player sees the world in more detail and artistically than the server does, at the expense of leaky bushes. I have suspicion that in the movement and looking at the image of the bush as such, the player cannot always understand whether he is actually from the point of view of the system in hiding. Whether the bush covers him, whether the bush works or not. I think this is what he tried to say over here. Once again, keep in mind this is translated from the Russian. As a rule, these special objects that actually define the visibility system are more massive than the visual bush itself in the client. And these things should not happen. Also, standing in the bushes, do not forget about the overall points for lighting up the tank. Spotting the tank, you could stick out the part of your tank a little, caught the enemy's observation point and lit up. This is the print screen I was able to take myself from the stream, and over here you can see on this model, on this massive big model, you can see all the points. If those points show up, you should get spotted, right? This is how I think. Over there you can see those points. For example, at the tip of the gun we do not have that point, so you can stick out your gun from the bushes and you should not get spotted. But if you stick out your frontal hull, your turret, stuff like that, you should get spotted, and this is how it should work, at least. Next up, let's talk about SPGs, artillery clickers, call them how you want, a rework. In fact, the interaction that we tested in the sandbox, namely the different type of shells in self-propelled guns that are designed to deal with different goals, we consider this concept to be effective. We will redo it from the point of view of implementation rather tightly, but in general this is what we want to achieve. If you do not know, if you do not remember what they did test on the sandbox server, instead of having two shell types, or actually one shell type, HE, and HE what simply adds some more splash damage, they want to add three different shell types. HE, which deals more damage but doesn't stun. Second, HE, what deals less damage but stuns. And AP round as well. And I can already say that HE, which deals damage but didn't stun, was useless over there on the sandbox, and AP was completely useless on the sandbox server. Like, I couldn't find more useless ammunition type than AP on artillery when I was testing it out on the sandbox server. But moving on, if you look at pure statistics, specifically at average time players spend stunned, it does not look like this new implementation is very decisive. But psychologically, the fact that stunning is very annoying, we understand. Luckily, they understand that stunning is indeed one of the most annoying things in this game. Bottom line, the artillery will have different shells. Not all of them will have a stun, and we will give them more tactical meaning. It will be effective exclusively against those vehicles that it is aimed at, moving light targets. Very interesting. The fact that one shot of an artillery causes several states at the same time, that affects the tank handling, this needs to be changed. Okay, over here I think they want to say if one shot of an artillery, the fact that one shot of an artillery causes several injuries, let's say to the tank modules, to crew members, plus stunning, like... we have all been in situation when one shot from Arty kills your driver, your commander, your gunner, like let's say 2 crew members with a single shot, plus you are tracked now out in the open, plus you have broken ammo rack, plus stun on the top of that. This needs to be changed, and this is what they say over here as well, or this is what the game design, this is what the head of game design said over here as well. I would like to influence this with a rebalance. I believe that it is possible to make artillery logical, either cause damage or stun. We will try to achieve this at least. The rebalance of artillery should not lead to the fact that Arty ceases to completely influence the battle and becomes irrelevant. This is not the goal here, and we will strive for artillery to get a meaningful role. Whew, let's wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. On the top of that, they also mentioned something quite interesting. Tactical skills to reduce the damage received from HE shells and from artillery shells with the crew and equipment rework will come. Tactical skills to combat versus artillery. Whew, ladies and gentlemen, mouse type 5 are clapping at the moment on the background. Can you hear that? But with such protection, you will sacrifice other things, perhaps more important things. Keep this in mind. There is nothing more important than being safe in mouse and in Type 5 from the artillery. Secondly, the fact that artillery fires at allies, stuns them, and does not become blue is most likely a bug. We will see. There are fines for this, and they should work properly and discourage bad behavior. I think if you do that, actually, I have seen where people do that too often and actually turn blue. So, I don't know, maybe sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so artillery rework, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this one. A little teaser, a little hint what you're thinking about doing at least. Next up, bots. Bots are identified by an automated system and very effectively because their behavior model is quite understandable. We are fighting very, very actively. I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that I have not seen too many bots lately. Like, I cannot even remember when I previously saw bots. Like, I do remember that at some point I saw them quite often. You know, bots, you recognize bots when they simply were standing in the base, doing nothing. But after they received first shot or after they saw someone, suddenly they started moving their turret. Or suddenly bots started moving its turret and they started shooting at things. And there was actually such a funny replay, oh my god. Sadly, I'm not able to make it work because I do not have that version of the game anymore. If I try my best to get it working, but there was a bot in IS6 versus 5 enemy tanks, and bot, while standing still in the base zone, actually won the battle in 1 versus 5 situation in IS6. That was a ridiculous thing, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, moving on, once again, a couple smaller topics. For example, a serious update for the battle communication is planned this year. It is not like pinging a specific point of the map in frontline, it's a more serious system. For example, the ability to interact with the objects within the 3D scene and pinging specific position visually. A very convenient thing. For the first time it will see the light in the sandbox. Most likely something what artillery can do at the moment. They can light up the map where they are going to shoot, and this is actually a really useful thing. Cannot wait for it. In the equipment rework, we will add equipment that affects the flight speed of a shell, aka shell velocity equipment, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds very interesting. One problem is that the game doesn't explain at all how tank con marking really works, how real difficult it is. Quick lesson for you, it counts damage, it counts assistance. It doesn't count both assistances. It doesn't count your tracking assistance together with your spotting. It takes the higher value. It takes damage plus the higher value. Let's say you did 1500 spotting plus 750 tracking. It doesn't count 2250 towards your third mark. It counts the higher value, so damage plus 1500 spotting only. No tracking. This is how it works. At least this is as much as I know. If you know more, let me know. Soon enough, we will be reviewing the rewards and possibly part of the conditions of the daily World of Tanks tasks, daily quests, daily missions. Appearances will change, rewards will change. There is a demounting kit, but it rarely drops. I think it should appear more often. So, changes to the missions once again. And they also mentioned something about maps, like Runeberg remake is in the work. Runeberg on fire, we have had Runeberg in fire, Runeberg in autumn, Runeberg in summer, Runeberg during winter time, Runeberg during Christmas time. I don't even remember how many Runeberg versions we have had. Another remake is in the works. Statistically, it is one of the worst maps by win rate. Minsk, however, is one of the most balanced maps. And Minsk is also receiving a rework actually. Now, on the top of that, they mentioned something about corridor maps, why they are actually needed in this game. Corridors, powerful closed positions on maps. Such things are needed by certain players at a certain skill level in the game, just to deal some damage. Waiting, camping that one corridor, waiting for the prey just to deal that single shot of damage in the Akban 3100. We all know that feeling. They also say that maps with those type of positions has been a thing in World of Tanks for a while. In particular, this is also useful for players who are learning to play and must understand in general which direction they should go and which positions to take. Plus, not all maps in the game are all the same corridors, or don't have all the same corridors. In our opinion, it is possible to change the tactical minimap for maps that have severe height differences for a clearer picture. And finally, right now, Steel Hunter 2020 is in active development. There will be many changes, it will be interesting. The only thing that was very embarrassing was, of course, the number of additional buttons. Not all players like this, it adds a lot of diversity, but also overcomplicates things. No, it doesn't. You do not have to make everything so arcadey and so simple. It wasn't complicated. Like, just play some battles, just play this game mode. You need to learn something. You do not need to be a master at it after first battle. Jesus Christ, this really gets me going. Not all players like this. Yeah, not all players like this, but many players did, like I did. You cannot please every single player. There are always, like, make it less. Like add one button, add spacebar, what does everything in that game mode. You are going to see players who doesn't like that either. They say, oh, it is way too complicated. I have to press the spacebar way too many times. Yeah. You need to find the balance of the right combination, amount of abilities that each tank has access to. No, the more the better. The more builds we can do, the more funnier builds we can do, the better it is for the game. In general, we want to launch it more than once a year. What will happen in Steel Hunter in 2021, we'll see. Okay, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of topic, what gets me going at the end. We do not need to simplify everything in this game. It is arcadey enough already. We do not need any more of that. I enjoyed the previous version of Steel Hunter mode a lot. Hopefully they do not oversimplify things this time. We'll see. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this was my episode for you today, covering another Q&A session between Spiska and the head of game design. Egor Rodinov. I didn't cover every single topic, I didn't cover every single point. Once again, I picked my favorite ones, what seemed to be the most interesting for me and most likely for you as well. I hope, I don't know, if you want to see the full stream, link is in the description. If you want to see all the questions from the Armor Patrol or from the votexpress.info, all the links are in the description. Go check them out. That is me done, ladies and gentlemen. I catch you next time. Stay awesome, stay sexy, take care, check out Beast Mode Care Store, subscribe, like, dislike, I don't know. Do what you want with your life. It's your life. Enjoy it. Bye bye.